Welcome back, everyone. It's Crabcakes and Baseball. I am Jerry Shank, and with me, as always, our Maryland Scouting Director, Jamie Naill. Jamie, how are we doing today?
Another day in paradise, Jerry. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you, thank you. Just exciting news, real quick. I'm going to embarrass Jamie, and he doesn't know it. Just really excited that we were able to get Jamie promoted into a full time position now with PBR Maryland. He started this week. Very excited to have him on board in a full time manner. So everything that he was doing for the past forever, 4 years now, 5 years, has been on a part time basis as he's been carrying another job with him, and we were finally able to get him on board in a full time role. So I'm sure he's extremely excited about it. I know he's extremely excited about it, but also you're going to see him even more now. So very very big news, exciting news. He might get an extra hour of sleep every night too, which is also tremendous. So just wanted to throw that out there. So congratulations, Jamie. It's obviously well deserved and probably should have happened years earlier, but we're glad we can make it happen. So, all right, now we've got that apart. Next phase, before we get into this, just a reminder to all of you, we've got our preseason events up online, prepbaseballreport.com/Maryland. Another reminder, our first 100 players who register for an event, whether it's our Rising Stars, preseason ID, preseason All State, freshman showcase, any of our winter events, the first 100 registrations go into a drawing for a free customized Mizuno glove. You can check it out online. It's on Twitter. There's some emails that have been sent out too. But three out of those, out of the first 100 registrations, we'll give out three gloves. Players will have the opportunity to go on, design their own glove, and then really what I'll go through the process with them on how it would happen, but it's very, very simple. They design their own glove, they save it, they send it to me, I'll do the rest, and we'll get it sent to you. But that's for the first 100 registrations. It's filling up extremely fast. We've only got a few more spots left, so make sure you're getting on that and getting registered for events for this winter. Obviously, apart from the obvious, which the preseason is such a great time of the year to get some new video for college coaches to send out to see after all the work that has been done in the winter in terms of strength and everything like that. Being able to get a video and be able to send out to those college coaches who haven't been able to go out is a very big deal and big thing to do. So just wanted to throw that towards everyone to remind you something we're very excited about. All right, now that I've wasted 3 minutes of your life, let me get into the nuts and bolts. In today's episode, if we had a title, it would be called Rankings, 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 because that's what we're going to be going through, Jamie. We're going to go through our 2025 rankings, and then right after that, we're going to go into our 2026 rankings and give some analysis and breakdown on our recent releases in the past 2 weeks. So let's start it off with our 2025 rankings. Um, a big a big release in the 25 class. It's really been a strong class, Jamie. We've talked about this for the longest of times. It just continues to get more solid. A lot of good players. Let's go over the top 10. At our number one spot, we have. All right, at number one in our updated 2025 Maryland class rankings, we have the middle infielder out of Longreach High School, Aiden West, NC State commit. At the number two spot is right-handed pitcher Nottingham. He is at number two out of Loyola Blakefield, another Future Games alumni. Aiden was as well, but as a junior Future Games, he committed back when they were allowed to commit back in those days. Just like 8 months ago, but it feels like that a much longer time. At the three spot, Sam Rosand out of Landon School of UVA commit. At number four, Corey Sheridan, our top ranked Delaware player out of the Sallies in Delaware, Silesianum. I kill it every time. I'm sorry. He is an NC State commit. At number five, the right-handed pitcher and corner infielder Nathan Wines out of Archbishop Spalding. He's an ECU commit. At number six, left-handed pitcher outfielder out of Georgetown Prep, Austin Weiss. He is a University of Maryland commit. At the number 7 spot, moving into the top 10, we have the middle infielder out of John Carroll School. That is Will Ryan. He is a recent commit to the University of Alabama. At number 8, another Georgetown prepper, Duke commit Andrew Duncan. At number 9, we've got the catcher corner guy out of Cape Henlopen in Delaware, our second-ranked Delaware player. He's a Kentucky commit, and that is Jace Mitchell. Again, he's a catcher out of Cape Henlopen. And then rounding out our top 10, we've got the right-handed pitcher, currently uncommitted out of Colonel Richardson, Jordan Rogolski, who's and 2023 was a great year for Jordan, coming in really having a breakout year for the young man out of the Eastern Shore. So that is a quick look into our current top 10 in Maryland. Jamie, let's get talking a little bit more into it. And really, the first thing we want to talk about is the aforementioned Will Ryan jumping into the top 10 for the first time. He's at number 7. Really strong summer for this young prospect. Um, let's hand it off to you because again, I'm talking too much, but it's been a really good year for him.
Yeah, Will Ryan jumps into the top 10 for the first time in our rankings updates. Left-handed hitter. You can really see the body transformation. Like you said, big summer, big fall for him. Decommitted from Maryland and now committed to Alabama few months later. But we love him. We love him on both sides of the ball. The power is really starting to shoot up. Barrel awareness, ability to hit the ball to all fields. So Will Ryan jumping inside the top 10 is big. It's big for him. It's big for these rankings and such a deep class that the 2025 is. So Will Ryan out of John Carroll, huge summer, huge fall for him in 23.
Yeah, it was a really great jump for him, and he's done really good things. I think if you or the one even more enticing thing about Will is he's definitely not done yet. I think there's still a lot more growth to the game for him in terms of just ability and kind of the foundation is there, getting even more. I guess for lack of a better word, cleanliness within the game, within his game, he can even take that next step. And that's not saying it's raw. It's really not. It's just you. And we've talked about this at length. Is it's a really um, he's a really solid player. I really like what he does, but you see that there's definitely more there the more he continues to work. So it's really exciting to see that out of this young man who was a Junior Future Games alumni for us way back in the day, actually with Aiden on that same Junior Future Games team. But let's stay with that in our top 10 uncommitted. We've talked about this young man just a little bit. He's at number 10. Jamie, you think he's going to be the next guy who could even rise more? Can you
Yeah,
go a little deeper into it?
yeah. I mean, you and I talked about just trying to figure out another guy that we think is going to make another big jump. And over this winter into the spring of 24, you look at Jordan Rogalski, and it's definitely a guy that you can see take that next step within the next few months, especially this spring in 24 with Colonel. Um, it's such a raw arm that we saw at the future games. There's so much to dream on in that arm, in the body. There's plenty of strength still to be had in that frame. And there's some stuff that still need to clean up. But once that does clean up and everything kind of starts to fall into place, you're going to see this guy possibly be into the top 5. So it's a guy that I see as a big riser, possibly our next rankings update, possibly after the spring. But such a raw right-handed pitcher that we love. We loved him in the future games. There's still plenty of velo there to be had. So Jordan Rogalski, definitely a guy that I see is going to shoot up these rankings very shortly.
Yeah, you watch him play, you watch him pitch. There's just so much more left there. It's just so raw. Um, it's so enticing being able to watch him and thinking with the coaching wheels how much better he's going to be in the next few years. So like tons of reason to like him. The breaking ball shows what you want to see. Obviously, as with almost every high school player, you'd like to see it thrown a little bit harder, have so it gives it a little bit better shape, a little bit later life. That's something just as a pitcher, it just takes a little bit of time to really work on it and fine tune, especially the secondary stuff. But man, you watch it. I remember the first time I got to see him last year. Jamie, you were like, "Hey, man, make sure you get your eyes on this guy. He's going to be interesting. We've got to see him over the spring." And I watched him. I was like, "Holy cow! this has a chance to be special, and we're really seeing that. So it'll be really interesting, and I know we're really excited to watch him this upcoming year to see how that growth continues. So Jordan also, he is a Future Games alumni. Just plugging that event left and right. I hear it's a pretty good one that happens in the summer in Cartersville, Georgia, at the Lake Point Sports Complex. All right, let's stay with risers. I have made this entirely too long because I am talking too much as usual. But let's stay with our risers. And the first one we want to talk about at the 20 or from the 23rd spot, moving up to the number 15 spot, is Drew Rubinsky, recent Georgetown commit out of Mount St. Joe's.
Yeah, physical, just brute strong backstop. Love the swing. It's a high intent swing. Ability to backspin to the pool side. He had a huge summer, huge fall. We got some video. We had him at a summer event. The trend just continues north. It's a guy that continues to clean up the game, get better on both sides of the ball. So that's a backstop in the state that rises considerably inside the top 15. That just continues to trend. So Drew Rybinski, another name to know.
Yeah, really loved his workout when we got to see him this summer, and everything you hit the nail on the head right there with just that pure physical strength. He does not get cheated, and that's something you love to see. Next jumper in our ranks, risers. Sorry, s- from number 20 to number 16 out of Goretti and Western Maryland, you got the Virginia Tech commit Parker Sweeney.
Yeah, big jumper, Jerry. I like that. I'm going to start using that in some of the stories. But Parker Sweeney, two-way talent out of Goretti, had a little bit of an injury concern a couple months ago, but back to full strength now. Love the two-way. It's a high intent arm on the bump. Can't wait to see him this spring. Hopefully this winter as well at an event. But I really love the swing. It's a compact swing. Uh, Another guy that doesn't get cheated, line drive tendencies. That frame is considered is still filling out, so there's still a lot of growth there to be had. But Parker Sweeney, a guy that is high on my list to go out and see this spring.
Absolutely. Now, our next jumper is one of the biggest jumpers in the 25 rankings. Rose all the way from the 87 spot up to 21. Another one who had a really good summer, Jamie. We got to catch him in the late fall. We're pretty blown away by the talent. Recent George Washington commit Travis Pites out of Calvert Hall.
Yeah, jumps off the page. A guy like you said, jumped from 87 to 21. He's rose in the rankings the last two updates. It's a guy that we hadn't seen, or at least myself, I hadn't seen him with my own eyes a bunch, and I finally got to see him this summer and this fall. U.S. Elite Scout Day, some of the tournaments that PBR Virginia ran. But this is a guy that, like I said, jumps off the page. He can do it all. Extremely toolsy middle infielder, real long frame, still able to fill out. Love them on both sides. Love how the glove works up the middle. So that's another guy high on my list, along with Sweeney, that I can't wait to see this winter heading into the spring.
Yeah, for sure. And it really was. It was good to see him. I wish we would have got to see him even earlier. But, it's hard with some of these quality schools, especially in the MIA when you're a younger player. There's so much talent. So sometimes you almost you just kind of stumble upon seeing a good talent that maybe necessarily just couldn't break the lineup because he's already got Division I commits in front of him. And I think Pites was one of those cases where maybe the playing time wasn't quite as much. Because there's so much talent on all of those MIA rosters. All right, let's stay at Calvert Hall. Let's talk about his teammate with US Elite and at Calvert Hall. Uncommitted, really, really nice talent. I'm a fan. Put me on board with this cat. It's Will Hack.
Yeah. Yeah, I know how much you love Will. I love him as well. It's another guy just like Pites that we saw in the summer, back into the fall in those tournaments, the teammate of Pites. But man, this is a guy that can do it all. He can go get it in the outfield. You gave me a call during that tournament and said, Will Hack, he's a dude. And I said, yeah, he definitely is a dude. So he jumps inside the top 30 at 27. Another guy that continues to rise in our updates. Just love the strength, the projectability in the frame. There's a ton to like there. He's not going to be uncommitted for long. There's a ton of suitors out there for him. He's just trying to find that right fit. So I don't see that taking very much longer. I think heading into the winter months, heading into the spring, you're going to see him get a few more calls. But Will Hack, another name to know.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure everyone here they see us say, "Well, he's in the top 30, he's at 27, but you guys love him. Why isn't he ranked higher?" Guys, we have to put different hats on when we're talking about players and as we're ranking players. We're looking for certain things. We're looking at the analytics, we're reading the swing, we're reading the athleticism, we're learning about the projectability. So when we do a lot of these rankings, we're trying to think on a more broad basis about all levels of scout, from the pro side all the way down to the smallest of schools when they're looking at the next level. And we're trying to place them into a point that we feel, or we're ranking them based off of a lot of those matters: how they do in game, what their current ability is in terms of like the exit velocities, the strength, how hard they throw it, how the swing plays, but how does it play in a game as opposed to BP. And so we do that. That's how we do our rankings. We're trying to rank them as, basically, if we're thinking from every scout's level. But then when we put on the coaching hat, it's completely different because, I might not have a ranked guy. Jamie might not have a guy ranked quite high because some of those analytical things show differently, and we're trying to place it more on kind of what the stats, what the analytics are showing us and what they're telling us. But then we're talking about players just be based off of gut, like I said, that coaching hat. And that's just one. There's all the players we love, but that's kind of the reason behind, well, hey, if we love a player but we have him ranked a little bit lower than where he could be, that's kind of why that's going there. I mean, that doesn't take anything away because there's a lot of players that we both love that, we have to separate between how we rank a player and how we like a player too at the same time. So another short aside on my apparent documentary of asides today. Let's go into our 25 ranks top uncommitted, and really the elephant in the room, all the way up at the number 2 spot. This is where we're going to start. Out of Loyola Blakefield, future games alum, really blew up even more. Had a really huge summer. You started to really see that this spring, Jamie. I know you really got to see it middle to late spring, and then the summer blew up. Joe Nottingham.
Yeah, there's not much not to like with Joe Donningham. You love the frame, you love how the arm works. He had a stellar performance down at the Future Games. I know he got a boatload of calls after the Future Games. It's a guy still looking for that right fit. He's the top uncommitted guy in this class, but you love the arm. You love the velo into the upper 80s, into the low 90s. The breaking ball still needs to get a little sharper, in our opinion. I think that may be lacking a little bit now, but once that cleans up, he's the top arm in this class for a reason, and he continues to trend up. It's a big winner for him heading into a big spring of 24, but the sky's the limit. It's a very high ceiling arm that we love. It was great to see him at the Future Games and kind of continue that trend upwards.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is definitely a well-known arm in the state of Maryland. Great summer, and like you said, there's still a lot of untapped potential, and definitely we get that secondary a little bit better, a little sharper, a little later. Now we're going to another level with that type of arm. So a lot of fun to be able to see how he progresses and see what he's doing this winter. All right, our next top uncommitted. We've talked about him a little bit. Let's keep it just a quick pitch right here. Back at Colonel Richardson at the number 10 spot, Jordan Rogolski.
Yeah, like you said, we talked about him earlier, so there's not much more to say. But love the frame. I think it's a huge winner, huge spring for him. There's an ability to break out just like he had in the 23 spring, where he kind of put his name out there, and now he's going to try to cement his name as one of the top arms in this class. So big 24 spring heading for Vigalski.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be if you're a coach, you're going to have a good reason to come up to Maryland this spring and check out some arms that you can hopefully line up throughout the week. All right, now let's go to another player. Was committed for a while, really intriguing prospect. There's definitely some two-way potential there, but I think we're starting to see the bat become more of a separator now. A big left-handed stick out of the Bullis School in Potomac, Maryland, and that is first baseman Charlie Buckles.
Yeah, Charlie Buckles. He checks a lot of boxes. If I were to look at a player across the state that I would want as my bodyguard, walking around the city, walking around the state, it would be Charlie Buckles. He's 6'6", 6'7", extremely great kid. That's kind of an intangible with Charlie. Comes from a great family. We love having Charlie out at our events. Just love talking to him, picking his brain a little bit. But newly uncommitted, decommit from Tulane. Like you said, the bat is really starting to take off. It's getting cleaner. The strength to the pull side is really taking off. So Charlie, Like I said, decommitted from Tulane. He's not going to be uncommitted for very long. He has a ton of suitors across the country, not just this East Coast. So Charlie Buckle is definitely one to see this winter heading into the 24 spring.
For sure. And, one of the hardest things for a guy like Charlie, he's so tall, he's so long. And the more height and the more length you have as a baseball player, in my opinion, it's harder to be an athlete because you're just so long. Your balance is spread out so far because your arms are longer than ever. Your height is your head from your feet; they're so far away. So it's hard to have that center point of balance. That's why you see all great athletes have a great center point of balance. And that was one of the things with Charlie. Like you could tell he hit a huge growth spurt, a year or two ago because he just got so big and he was just kind of wild and flying. But you saw flashes. You'd see one, two swings, and you're like, all right, yep, there it is. But then you'd see other ones out of balance because he was still getting strength. He's so young, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing about a lot of these guys. But guys with height who are over the 6'4s and 6'5s and above, like here's a note for you. Work on being an athlete. Get your center of balance, get body control. That is something you have to work on 1,000 times more than a guy who is 5'10", 6 foot, because they got a lower center of gravity because they're shorter. Everything's a little bit closer. It's easier for them to have that body control. They can catch it faster. You're tall, you're long, you got to work on that. And that's what we're seeing with Charlie right now is he's starting to catch up. His body's starting to catch up with his length. So it's really exciting to see that. Um, Next guy, out of DeMatha Catholic, really, really intriguing prospect here, and one who is just again, just really, really intriguing. Bud Coombs, Jonathan Coombs, outfielder out of DeMatha.
Yeah, multi-sport athlete. We don't know what the future holds for Coombs. We know how great he is on the football field, and he has a bright future. To be honest with you, he can pick and choose, in my opinion, whether he wants to play baseball or football at the next level. Super athletic, jumps off the page athletically. A guy that we love watching play. A guy really, if he's not number one, he's number two on the top of my list of guys to go out and see this spring. So, like I said, jumps off the page athletically, a guy that I love watching. Strength continues to be added. So, that multi sport athlete is definitely something to talk about there with. The ability to do a lot of different things on both fields. So Coombs definitely one to watch.
For sure. And yet you'll ask 100 people whether being a multi-sport athlete as a high school player is a good thing or bad thing, and you'll get 100 different answers. Me personally, I like it. I think it tells me they've got the athleticism already. You're going to be able to get better. You tend to see a lot more jumps as a recruiter, as a college coach. You tend to see more jumps from those two sport athletes once they start to center in on one sport. Um, Coombs could definitely be like that, but more than likely, like you were saying, Jamie, I think he's got a bright future in both sports. He might get that have that potential opportunity to play both sports. So there's a ton of ceiling right there on that young man. All right, let's go back to Calvert Hall and talk about another really interesting uncommitted middle infielder, Thomas Pilarski.
Yeah, teammates with Pites and Hack, in his earlier days, but it's a guy that continues to blow up. We love watching him on both sides of the ball. He can impact the game in multiple facets. Uh, Toolsy middle infielder, arm strength is there. He can really pick it up the middle. I really like the bat. I like how clean the bat has gotten. It's more consistent now. He continues to rise up these rankings. A huge top uncommitted guy in this class that's extremely deep. I mean, you go through, the top 50 and you look at some of these uncommitted guys and you're like, well, how are they still uncommitted? And we've talked about that multiple times, and Pilarski adds his name to that list. So it's a guy that can impact the game in multiple facets. I love him. Really good kid, and another guy that's, uncommitted in this deep class.
All right, now next one that we're going to talk about, really fun off prospect in Montgomery County. Let's go to Bethesda Chevy Chase, outfielder Trent Lopez.
Yeah, you want to talk about a guy that can impact the game at the plate. Montgomery County has, obviously some of the more high octane arms in the state when you're looking at public schools, and Trent Lopez goes against, matches up against them all the time and seamlessly every night, and he gets it done. The ability to hit for power to the opposite field, I love. It's consistent. He can backspin to both gaps with authority. So Trent Lopez, we've seen him a bunch. He comes to a bunch of events, and he continues to rise, up these rankings, and for good reason. The strength, the frame continues to fill out. So Trent Lopez, another one to watch heading into the winter and the 24 spring.
Yeah, and just another quick aside to stay on my trend. We talk about when we're recruiting. You talk about guy when they say, "Well, his stats are great." We don't necessarily worry about what the high school stats say because we don't know who they're playing. We don't know what teams they're taking on. They could hit 600, but it could be against guys who just maybe aren't quite that college caliber type arm that they're facing day in day out. Montgomery County's had 5, 6 years of almost like a renaissance of arms. Like there has been just year after year a ton of talent within that county, within the high schools, of really quality Division 1 arms, high quality arms just across the board. So that's fun. That's going to be able to give these recruiters, these coaches, a lot better idea. And Trent, like you were saying, he just does a great job being able to hold his own there. All right, last one we're going to talk about, and again, this is the one we've talked about earlier. So let's just give another quick shout out, quick pitch, Jamie. Will Hack out of Calvert Hall.
Yeah, physical. Love the body. We talked about him earlier, so not much more to say. But this is a guy that can impact the game on multiple facets. It's a guy that continues to trend up. We love the frame. We love the projection there. So Will Hack, a guy definitely to circle heading into the winter months and the spring coming up.
All right. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about with the 2025 rankings. All right. Outside of the people that we have talked about already with the top uncommitted, Jamie, let's pick out two players that you're surprised are still available at this point.
Yeah, and I think that circles back to Joe Nottingham. After such a standout performance at the future games, you were thinking that he was gonna commit, a couple days after the future games, even while he was still down in Georgia. That's how impressive the performance was to us. So a little surprising that he's still uncommitted, but I think it's a guy that's still looking for the right fit. Looking for those winter months and the 24 spring to really almost trampoline him into that next level. So still some things to clean up, but that's definitely one that I'm surprised is still uncommitted.
Anybody else you want to throw out there real quick?
Yeah, I mean Charlie Buckles, with the decommit, I have him highlighted on my list. That 6'6", 6'7" frame is definitely nothing to. It's definitely not overshadowed by anything. So the swing continues to clean up. So the decommit from Tulane was surprising to us because I thought that it was a really good fit, but there's some new things on the horizon. So that's a guy that I don't believe is going to be uncommitted for very long. So still surprising that he's still uncommitted.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, well, that's going to round out our 2025 Maryland class rankings. Um, let's get into our 2026 rankings, which will be on our next episode, going to come up because we're going a little bit too long here. So I'm making an executive decision on the fly because we're athletes here at PBR Maryland. Athletes adjust. So that's going to round out today's episode. We'll have another episode later on this week. We're going to talk about our 26 rankings and take a quick peek into our 27 class as well in that same episode. So for all of you, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your continued support. Guys, it's crab cakes and baseball. It's what PBR Maryland does. We'll see you next time.